23 years ago, the world's most dangerous urban downhill race was born. What started as a simple photo shoot has evolved, crash after crash, into an event that has completely redefined what is possible on a mountain bike. The story begins not with engineers in an office at Red Bull's headquarters, but with a vision rooted in the topography of Valparaiso itself. In 2003, the Pearl of the Pacific was already a UNESCO World Heritage Site, famous for its labyrinthine network of staircases built in the 19th century. Victor Heresman saw this not just as a pedestrian commute, but as a blank canvas for downhill racing. But originally, Cerro Abajo wasn't even supposed to be a race. It was intended to be a simple photo shoot for a magazine, a one-off project where nobody could have even imagined the scale of what the event was about to become. Held on the iconic Cerro Alegre and Cerro Concepcion, the race established the series' fundamental DNA. A high-speed descent through residential areas where spectators stood inches from the handlebars. Sebastian Vasquez emerged as the first champion, inscribing his name as the original king of the port. But the event was still raw, a local experiment that was more about getting the shot than winning a race. When Red Bull became the title sponsor in 2004, everything changed. The partnership provided resources to build bigger and crazier jumps. The event moved to Cerro Bellavista and introduced a women's category, immediately dominated by Bernardita Pizarro. However, this era belonged to Antonio Leyva. In 2004, at just 19 years old, Leyva won, beginning what would soon become a legacy. In 2005, the race grew even wilder, from cars flipped upside down and used as landings, to the inclusion of the race in the UCI ranking system. The event kept growing in popularity, signaling to the world that Cerro Abajo was no longer a sideshow, but a discipline worthy of the sport's elite. Leyva won again in 2005 and 2006, beating even Kyle Straight, fresh off a Red Bull Rampage win. Pedro Ferreira was just 16 when he debuted in 2006. But his first win wouldn't come for another 13 years. Even at 16, Pedro wasn't the youngest to ever compete. Santiago Perez had already set that record the year before at just 14. By 2007, Valparaiso had reached the global elite. The Chilean stronghold was finally breached by Frenchman Cedric Gracia, a former World Cup racer who proved that European stars could adapt to the unique stresses of stair gapping. The next half-decade was defined by one man, Filip Pulch. The Slovakian rider approached urban downhill not with the looseness of a free rider, but with the cold, scientific precision of a Formula One engineer. Pulch dominated, mastering key sections like the Atahualpa stairs, a staircase so steep and narrow that it punished even the slightest error. Between 2010 and 2015, Pulch secured 4 victories, matching Leyva's record and establishing himself as the definitive benchmark. His Colombian rival, Marcelo Gutierrez, who won in 2013, highlighted the rise of South American talent beyond Chile. But what made the event special wasn't just the track itself, but the fans. Even a legend like Steve Smith defined it as something superior to both Rampage and the World Cup.
What do you think about the scene, about Valparaiso? Come on, give us a few words.
It's the best race I've ever been to. It's so many fans, it's tons of fun, so many people, awesome.
As the course grew faster and more physical, a new prototype of rider emerged. The 2016 edition hinted at this shift, but it was 2017 that fully inaugurated the era of Tomasz Slavic. With a background in four-cross, Slavic brought an explosive sprinting power that revolutionized how the flat sections between stairs were ridden. His 2017 victory was a masterclass. He clocked the fastest time, beating even the most successful hardline rider in history, Bernard Kerr, by over 2 seconds, a lifetime in a race usually decided by hundredths. Slavic defended his title in 2018 against Matt Walker, riding with a clinical aggression that turned every straightaway into a drag race. However, the heart of the city still beat for its own. In 2019, the local Pedro Ferreira took the hot seat, and Tomasz Slavic, the favorite, knew he had to give his all.
I wanted to win. It was just my ego fighting my skills, and
Oh no! Thomas Slavic goes down.
After the impact, Slavic stayed 5 whole minutes unconscious. Ferreira's win was significant. It demonstrated that the local community had successfully assimilated the techniques of the international stars, closing the technical gap that had widened during the Pulch years. But in 2020, Valparaiso was forced to cancel due to the massive social uprising and protests across Chile. However, the spirit of Cerro Abajo wasn't dead. That year, the focus shifted entirely to Bogotá, Colombia, making Red Bull Cerro Abajo the sole event of the season. This was actually the third time the riders had faced the brutal Colombian stairs. Monserrate originally debuted back in 2012, with Philip Pulch taking the inaugural win, and returned in 2019, where local hero Marcelo Gutierrez conquered his home mountain. Dropping from over 3,000 meters above sea level, Monserrate holds the Guinness World Record for the longest urban downhill track on Earth, a lung-busting 4-minute marathon of over 1,000 stone steps. With Valparaiso off the calendar, the 2020 Monserrate edition became the ultimate battleground, and Tomasz Slavic proved his dominance once again. But even as the pandemic kept Valparaiso on hold through 2021, Bogotá refused to stop. On February 6th, the series returned to the Colombian peaks, where Frenchman Adrien Laurent won and set a new course record. The 2022 return to Valparaiso brought a game changer. Red Bull, and the Dutch drone gods, figured out how to fly through thick concrete walls without losing signal. The footage of Tomasz Slavic blasting through houses reached 8 million views, completely changing how fans experienced the speed. Pedro Ferreira took his second victory that year, making him the first Chilean to go back-to-back since Leiva. In 2023, the event went international, expanding to Medellin in Colombia and Guanajuato in Mexico. The tour capitalized on Latin America's fanatical fan base. The 2023 season saw Tomasz Slavic win his third Valparaiso title on virtually one leg.
I landed with my feet on the stairs and my ankle just broke on the side, and probably the ligaments are gone.
Camilo Sanchez won the Mexican stop in front of Jackson Goldstone. The young Colombian prodigy, Juanfer Vélez, thanks to the win at Medellin in his home country, won the overall championship. In 2024, Red Bull Cerro Abajo officially evolved from a standalone classic into a true World Series. This marked the most radical expansion yet, the European debut in Genoa, Italy, proving the format could translate even to Europe. While Slavic won the race in Genoa, Juanfer Vélez secured his second World Series title by just 4 points, signaling the arrival of a new generation. The 2025 season saw a return to the roots of technical difficulty, reviving parts of the original track. Tomasz Slavic delivered a redemption run, securing his fourth Valparaiso title, equaling the legendary record count of Leiva and Pulch. Despite the crash in Valparaiso, Vélez managed to take home his third and consecutive overall. The 2026 series kicked off with Roger Vieira claiming victory in Genoa. The race was gnarly, but nothing compared to Valparaiso. Back to where it all started, the event was carnage because everything was on the line. Tomasz Slavic had the chance to become the most successful rider in the competition's history, but on the first corner, this happened.
Whoa, loses the front there!
He recovered well and took the hot seat, but Sebastian Holguin had other plans. He sent all the secret gaps, clocked the fastest time of the day, and climbed to the top of the overall standings. From a 2003 magazine shoot to the global stages of 2026, Cerro Abajo proved downhill isn't just for the mountains. It took mountain biking out of the woods and onto the concrete. Now, it's no longer a question of if these streets can be ridden, but just how fast.